Alright, this is UniBeam, JonathaNisMagnuM, and 63 doing another podcast coming at you. Topic today is a topic chosen by our friend NerdyGeek on CBM, and we're going to be talking about the JLA. Why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Jonathan, here to talk about the JLA. Ready?
Hey guys, this is TheAmazingSpidey63. From now on, I'm going to be called 63 and ready to talk.
Alright, so this is UniBeam, and I guess we're going to be talking about things that we want to see from the Justice League, things we don't want to see, maybe rumors, maybe potential casting, and anything else that pertains to the Justice League movie. So, John, since I'm really not the authority, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Cool. Well, yeah, the main thing we want to talk about is basically the I guess the word is developmental hell as to why this Justice League movie, why we haven't seen a Justice League movie, some of the difficulties that's been going on with it, and, you know, quite frankly, when we might be able to see a Justice League movie, and of course our personal opinions on that. But my main thing is, a lot of people, first of all, if people don't know that the Justice League of America is basically the group team up between some of DC Comics' most popular superheroes, which is, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, the Green Lantern, Flash, the Green Arrow,
Aquaman.
Even though he gets no respect, Aquaman is an essential part of the Justice League. But
Martian Manhunter.
Martian Manhunter is actually another one. I missed out on that. But yeah, these group of core heroes that team up, and I think one of the things that is really the most troublesome and most irritating for fans is that, first of all, if anyone is knowledgeable on movie rights, the big difference between DC Comics and Marvel Comics is that DC's parent company is Warner Brothers. So Warner Brothers can make a Justice League of America movie whenever they wanted. Or whenever they want, basically. Whereas Marvel, it's a lot harder to bring their universe together because, I guess in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, they sold the rights to a lot of their properties to other separate film studios, which kind of prevents the whole shared universe. I mean, up until Marvel got its own studio. So I guess the thing is that's really just the most irritating thing with fans, man, is that, they can make this movie basically whenever they want, but yet we really haven't seen anything. And much worse, it's just been, rewrites and, directors, not in and out, or people just saying, oh, I don't want to touch the Justice League movie, I don't want to do that, that's too much for me. But I mean, I don't know, it's just crazy right now, like what's going on, and how come, DC's, not even the fact that they're doing not making a Justice League movie, but just the fact that DC Comics is really lagging, whereas Marvel is just throwing these out like hotcakes, and it's just kind of depressing if you're a DC fan.
Right. 63. Why do you think that it's been in developmental hell for so long?
I don't know, to be honest, man. I just think that they're just too fucking lazy to even do one. Yeah, that's one reason. But I think the other reason is because they're focusing too much on the two main DC characters, Superman and Batman. We've seen a hell of a lot more Superman and Batman films for the last fucking 2 decades or a decade or so, and nothing's been really done on with the other DC characters, which I think is a shame, because I think it's about time for other DC characters besides Batman and Superman to shine in the big screen.
Right.
I mean, you only hear that much about Flash getting a movie, or Green Lantern. Well, okay, Green Lantern is, but Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Martian Manhunter. It just too much focus on Superman and Batman, and because of that, they're just lagging with the production of the Justice League America and with other DC comic characters. So really, they're just pretty lazy right now. They're focusing too much on 2 big named superheroes.
Yeah.
You just gotta get on the ball with that. I don't know. It's just like John said, developmental hell really with the Justice League America.
Right. I guess I don't know if I really have my own original thoughts on why the JLA isn't being made, or why they're not going the route that Marvel went by establishing the heroes and then leading up to a team ensemble film. But I hear a lot of arguments about the characters not being relatable or marketable this day and age because they're a little outdated. And personally, I don't know. I mean, obviously, Batman isn't outdated, or else we wouldn't be getting his films, every so often.
Yeah.
But Superman, I guess I kind of see. I see both sides of it. I see why he isn't marketable, and at the same time, I see why he is. Wonder Woman, I've never been a fan of Wonder Woman. One of those characters I really couldn't care much about. I was really happy to see that DC branched off a little bit with attempting a Green Lantern movie, and it wasn't successful in any way. And that was sad to see, and I think that's something that's really scared off DC from trying to branch out and making any more bold decisions because, like anything else, it's a business, and when you lose money on a property like that, it's really going to deter you from wanting to spend the money on another property that could be a big risk again.
It's true. I definitely think you're right, though, that the Green Lantern was just a risk, and it didn't pay off on their end. It really kind of just messed things up, because that was really and I think what's worse is when the movie is overhyped.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what happened with the Green Lanterns. Green Lantern had can't hate on the cast. I'm not a big Ryan Reynolds fan, but I mean the guy's on top of the world as far as making movies and.
Right.
There's a lot of people that like him. He's a likable guy. I mean, I was all squared away when I got the news that Mark Strong was going to be Sinestro.
Yeah.
And I was even more satisfied when I saw the first picture of him as Sinestro. I was like okay, they're going in the right direction.
Yeah, and Kilowog was cool with Michael Clark Duncan.
Yeah. Clark Duncan is Kilowog, and I mean, just having all these major actors, just kind of come in. It's like you really had a feeling that this was going to be what they were promoting it as, was like the Star Wars, of the DC universe, because the Green Lantern, his history is so much with space. It's not really. He's a human, being, but he's the Oa and the Guardians and everything. It's a much more extraterrestrial kind of environment that people were going to see Green Lantern in, and it just didn't live up. And I think that really set DC off. I'm sorry, to just kind of hold off on it again, because I mean if they can't even put a solo movie out on one of their superheroes, what makes them think that they're going to do a group thing like that with the Justice League?
Right. Yeah. No, I totally agree.
The problem is that the Justice League will also have to face is that the fact that I see many fans complaining that it'll be too much of the Avengers. It'll be like a cop-out of Avengers. We'll have the alien invasion coming to Earth, and then we have the heroes come together and all that. I don't know. To the fans, they just gotta stop worrying about it. I think that Warner Bros. Will find a different formula, a different way to go about bringing the heroes together. And with the rumors about Darkseid being the villain, they should hold that off, in my opinion, because there's tons of other villains for the Justice League to go out and fight with, or just something else than Darkseid. Because I think they're starting off too big. And plus, I don't want fans thinking that they're copying out with Thanos. At the end of the Avengers.
Right.
I think something that's definitely on people's minds, and one of the things, of course, about a movie that I was going to ask you guys, and that's what I want to bring up. So I'm glad 63 went and basically took track of that. Is what really do people want to see out of a Justice League movie? Because people always say they've been saying for 20 years. Like I said, this movie has been in developmental hell for 20 years. Because everybody was talking about a Justice League movie. I mean, even in the 90s when Batman was the #1 comic book movie franchise. Nobody else was making. First of all, nobody else was making superhero movies around the 90s, and if they weren't making that Batman money, basically.
No, we were getting a Dolph Lundgren Punisher.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Marvel was getting straight to video, stuff, real rinky-dink stuff. And I mean, Batman was busting out with, major. He was the #1 guy. I mean, but I think that's really one of the main problems is what do we really want to see story-wise from a Justice League movie? Because, and I think that was one of the worries about the Avengers is, okay, you say you want to bring this group together, but what do you want to do, grouping it together? You can't just put all the heroes there and just have them stand around. I mean, that would that would be appealing to a kid, but story-wise, how do you want to make this, what is probably should be one of the greatest comic book movies, of all time? It has that potential because it's all the heroes in one movie.
Right. Yeah. No. I'd like to take this one up a little bit. Now, here's my thing. Now that, I mean, we have to say it. Marvel has set a precedent with this ensemble team of superheroes.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a formula that unfortunately needs to be copied, because not only do we as fans expect something along the lines of a solo outings leading up to the ensemble, but I think now that the general audience has been somewhat educated on Marvel characters and not really knowing what's Marvel and what's DC, I think they're going to be expecting a little bit of something along the lines of what Marvel did with their cinematic universe, and I don't know if DC will be completely successful in their endeavors if they don't follow the established formula now, and because we've seen that it works. We've seen that it works. The audience loves it. They respond well, and and I think they're expecting it now.
I think it's become a certain staple in, like, well, I mean, not really comic movies, but I mean Marvel's movies is, at the end you're going to get a little nod to another superhero, or like, who's the next guy, like, example, in Iron Man 2 at the very end, you see Thor's hammer land,
right.
or it's in New Mexico or whatever.
Yeah. With these heroes, I don't see what you could do other than copy what Marvel's done. I mean, if it's not broken, don't fix it, right? But I can't see making a Justice League movie and then giving them their solo outings, because it just seems a little ass backwards to me. And
I don't know. What they're doing with Batman, really, and I was hoping that they would do something before the Justice League movie, do another Batman film within the shared universe of the DC films. But with what they're doing with Batman, introducing him again through a Justice League movie, that's just fucking. To me, that's not right.
Yeah,
I don't know how the audience are going to enjoy that.
That's like 5 different Batmans within not even 2 decades,
I know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I honestly think with the Justice League movie, to be honest, to go ahead and put it plain and simple, I don't expect the Justice League movie to be around or be made any time around the next, 8 years. I honestly think so. I just don't think that they have the. First of all, they really don't have anything together on it. All they have is just the property. As much as I'm really, really looking forward to the new Man of Steel, all these rumors, everyone's saying, oh, if this is good, are they going to lead up to a Justice League or anything? I just think that I think that these properties, Superman and Batman, they're so major and they're so iconic. It's almost ridiculous to have them in a team-up movie, because it's like, and not ridiculous saying, it'll never happen, but like, I just think they're so big. They have to be everyone has to be kind of toned down and understand that this isn't a Superman movie transferring into a Justice League movie. I really just think that the movie should kind of be standalone. It should be a standalone. It should be like, look, this is another chapter, and this is our own Justice League, because I really don't think that DC is going to want to have that moniker, or going to want the tagline, oh, they're just doing what Marvel's doing.
Right, yeah, see, I thought that'd be their biggest fear, too. They don't want to seem like copycats. So, yeah, I guess I could see that if they wanted to do just a solo outing by the Justice League by themselves, a one-time casting deal, you're not signing actors on for multiple films, then, yeah, I can see it working, but I can also see a lot of people kind of turning their heads like, huh?
Yeah. And I think that now it's probably a good time to for people to understand that, because we've seen from both DC and Marvel, there's always going to be cast changes, and there's always going to be we're rebooting it. I mean, people were I remember having people who weren't fans last year coming up to me and being like, hey, I thought Tobey Maguire was going to be Spider-Man, or what happened to Tobey Maguire? It's like, that's still emblazoned in their mind. It's just like, oh, it's just they're redoing it. I don't know if that's. I think now is more of a time to make that more the staple. It's like, hey, things happen, people change. So I don't think that cast changes would be a problem, but I honestly just think that either story is going to be its biggest problem, because these are the grade A superheroes right here, and like you were saying, one of the challenges is they're outdated, and then the next challenge is what kind of story would you make?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking like more on the lines because Superman and Batman, and they're so, I guess, powerful themselves. Even though Batman's a hero, it's like, man, Superman and Batman could take on the world just by themselves. It's like, so why do they need 4 other teammates?
Right. And
so it's difficult.
And one thing that's always bothered me is, I mean, I'm not a big Superman fan, although I am looking for Man of Steel to, turn that tide and make me a fan. I mean, I want to be a fan, but the guy's just too powerful, and I'm sorry, he has the shittiest weakness I've ever heard of. And so, I mean, but the thing is I feel like Superman makes every other hero obsolete, and there's no reason to have them. I mean, if he can beat Flash in a foot race, what makes Flash so damn special? So that's one thing that's always kind of bothered me. And yeah, and I mean, I think it ties along with John's point that why do they need a team if Superman and Batman can basically be the team? And if it's Justice League of America, then why are they always saving the world?
Yeah.
Yeah. I find it ironic that the Justice League was actually the first comic book superhero team to be created back then in the early 60s, and then came, Task Force and Avengers, but then we have the Avengers being the first comic book superhero team-up movie, and yet we don't have the GLA yet. I kind of find that ironic, really. Hopefully they can get on with that, because, again, I am in no way a DC fan, not that I hate them or anything, I just can't get into what they have in terms of characters and all, but I want a fucking GLA movie back, because I want to have an Avenger film and a GLA film put together. I just want to have 2 great films that has fucking just great characters all around and the best team ups that we can get on film. I just want it out right now. That's all I want for Warner Bros. To do, really.
I gotta say, like, I really just, one of the things that fans like not kind of irk me on is just when these things are fads, which is, these franchises are fads, everybody's looking for the next bigger thing.
Yeah.
And I think when you start to get when people start to get wrapped up in that, and they want, like, oh man, we need it now, we need it, with the way that people are in technology and society is, everybody wants the next big thing, like, right then and there. And I think with something like this, it's got to be well planned. It's got to be well, meticulated. I mean, the Avengers, even though it was Iron Man, in 2008, it took 4 or 5 years to, build that up. And, not even then, there's still probably, I mean, even though we think Avengers is the greatest thing on earth, the movie producers and studio heads and writers, they're probably thinking, on the next level. It's like, well, how can this Avengers, even though people are considering it the greatest thing, how are we going to go up a step from that? So I think that's got to be one of the things that's on, DC's, the team behind, this movie, or if there is a team behind this movie, or anybody thinking about it, what's going to be that it factor that's going to, like, definitely make it the best. And I just don't want people to get, too impatient with it, because I mean, I waited 20 years. I mean, I knew of the Avengers when I was 5 or 6 years old, and I waited this long. And dude, I could tell you, the way that Avengers was, I would have waited another 10 years for that movie because it was so good.
Yeah.
I would rather wait and get a movie that I can say, you know what, man, that is one of the best movies I've ever seen, than, DC or Warner Brothers or whoever to just, flesh out this, Justice League movie just because, the hottest thing right now is superhero team-ups. Yeah. So I guess that's what I was trying to throw in my message.
Personally, I think that if you're WB and you're looking at top Marvel, you're looking to beat them to a Masters of Evil type of thing, and you're looking to do like the Legion of Doom before they can get a Masters of Evil off the ground, because Avengers, we've seen an alien invasion. Cool. I mean, that's really cool. We loved it. I mean, it was a great film. But if you want to hit it a little closer to home and you want to do a team ensemble film and make it different than the Avengers, give them all like a personal vendetta against a villain to fight, or give the villains a vendetta against every single specific hero, and then it's a little bit more of an intimate
personal
story, And so I think that's the way WB would have to go in order to try and top the Avengers. That or actually making one of the heroes a bad guy.
I like that.
Well, I mean, there's so many. What's crazy is, we see these movies as fans, and we're hardcore fans, so I mean, we know of what comes out and everything. But you see these animated movies. I mean, DC and Warner Brothers, whatever, they put out at least 3 animated Justice League movies.
Yeah, they're killing it, dude. Justice League Doom was awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's that's what's driving me crazy. Is like, man, these guys are making an animated movie in about an hour and a half, a 90-minute animated movie, and it's like, dude, if you flesh that specific, plot or script or whatever, and you spread it really thin and then involved a ton of action, I mean, right there you could have your Justice League movie. And I mean, at one point, fans aren't really. I think that's another thing with fan expectations is they're wanting, this Oscar tour de force kind of movie. And I mean, for me, I just want to see a Justice League movie done right.
Okay,
like,
so
I don't need this Oscar nomination. I just want to see something done right. And I honestly want a fun movie. I want something that's not going to make me think a lot. I want something like that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, an Oscar nomination or award doesn't validate a movie or merit how good it is. I mean, Iron Man 2 had an Oscar nomination, and many people thought it was a shitty movie. Personally, I can disagree with it, but I mean, that had an Oscar nomination. And so I really feel like that doesn't hold any weight anymore. But, yeah, I want to see a movie I can enjoy and that I have fun with and, it makes me think, that has rewatch value, and that has some kick-ass action. I mean, if you're watching a superhero film, it better have some kick-ass action. And, there have been some lately that have been lacking in that department. I'm not gonna point them out, but so that's what I come to expect from the movie. But I don't know. What about you, 63?
Honestly, with me, and when it comes to CBMs like this, like with Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man or Captain America, Iron Man, all those good movies out there. Honestly, when I see someone's opinion, I honestly and respectfully don't give a fuck because if I like it, honestly I don't. If I like it, if I enjoy that much, then that's good enough for me. If I watch it over and over again, if the rewatch value is that good, and and there are other people saying shit about it, then you know what? I don't give a fuck. Respectfully, I don't give a fuck. But I love it, and that's all that matters with me, really.
Yeah, I'll come out right now and say it that the first Fantastic Four movie, a bit of a guilty pleasure for me. I mean, I know it's not comic book accurate. I know it's not a good Doctor Doom, but you know what? It's a movie you can pop in, and it's a feel-good movie.
Yeah, and I think it's I don't know, man. I've seen that movie before, and I gotta say the action is very, very good. But I mean, there's some things that casting wise, and script wise.
Some of the characters were completely off base. I know, but
yeah.
What I enjoyed was fucking Michael Chiklis as the Thing and Johnny Storm. Really, that's the reason why I enjoyed 2004. I love the Thing. I love what they did with Johnny. So. It's a guilty pleasure. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I'll watch it too.
But back to JLA, because I know NerdyGeek's definitely not satisfied yet. What else are you guys thinking? I mean, okay, here's a question. Who do you think that the core lineup should be? Should it be 5 heroes, 6 heroes? Because I mean, I know Justice League doesn't have as much of a rotating roster as Avengers is notorious for. I mean, again, I'm not the authority. I don't know firsthand. I haven't read any Justice League comic books, but I happen to know that they have a core of 3 or 4 members that are always in the roster, and then you might have 1 or 2 switching out every now and then. But who would you guys want to see in a film?
I would honestly, I would be really, really good with just the original lineup, which I mean, something that's got to be very, very familiar with everybody. Now, of course, we know that the Trinity, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman will be in there.
Yeah.
I would definitely like to see, the Flash, and I would definitely want to see, I know that even though I'm hoping that they would do Hal Jordan, I'm assuming that with, the
Ryan Reynolds flop.
Yeah, I think they're probably going to go the other route, and honestly, just to differentiate from stereotypes, because you don't. And I know race gets thrown into it a lot, but
right.
If you had a team all like that, like the Justice League, I mean, there's no ethnicity in there, so I mean, I think you'd have to just throw Jon Stewart in there. He to me is the second most popular Green Lantern. Because I can even remember last year when the 2 years ago when the Green Lantern movie was coming out, people were like, I thought the Green Lantern was black, and you're just like, no, this is Hal Jordan. Like, first of all, you're a noob, and then second of all, no, his name is Hal Jordan. He's the first Green Lantern. So, but I think they might go that way, and that would be another. I think that'd be another good way to differentiate from the Ryan Reynolds one. It's like, hey, this is another Green Lantern,
right?
And then, of course, I think they would also get some ethnicity from Martian Manhunter. He'd be another guy because I know, he just has that kind of feel. I mean, usually when he's voiced by an African American.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's got the green skin. He's got, so he probably has that, different kind of feel.
Yeah, I always thought they'd probably go a Dr. Manhattan kind of style with him too.
Yeah, I think so. It'd be a little bit different, but predominantly, guys, I don't know if they'd take the Avengers route and just have Wonder Woman be the only girl, because I mean, you do have Hawk Lady or Hawk Woman, Hawk Girl, whatever you want to call her.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
So, but I think you don't want to do too many people. So I think maybe around between 6 and 8, I would say would be good. And I think that the other thing that I want to reiterate on that is, going back to the story of it is, I don't think that with this many heroes you can do origin stories for them all, or else you would be in the movie for 5 hours.
I mean, we never got an origin for Black Widow or Hawkeye, and they were fine with it,
Exactly. Yeah. When you know who they are and you know their purpose, they don't, and I mean, even come on, I mean, who really wonders how Hawkeye became Hawkeye? Look, dude, he's been a badass since he's out the womb. He just picked up an arrow. Shit happened.
His mom thought she gave birth to Cupid, but then he shot her in the eye. So.
Basically, and I think that it's another thing that honestly is a more positive for the Justice League is, everybody knows, I guess, the core members of the Justice League's origins, their solo origins.
I have to tell you, dude, I don't know most of their origins.
I'm talking more about basically Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman.
Okay, what is Wonder Woman's origin then? I mean, I know she's from the Amazon. She's some kind of goddess or something, but I don't. Other than that, I don't know anything about her.
Basically, she was created by the Amazons, and she was basically molded. I mean, she wasn't born from anybody, and she was basically made out of clay, and then the Amazonian gods or whatever, they blessed that with life, and then she became the champion of the Amazons. So with that, in that tournament of the champion of the Amazons, she was sent down to Earth to basically protect it. It's her responsibility, kind of similar to the Green Lantern, how it's his sector.
Yeah.
She's supposed to take care of Earth, from the land of the Amazons or wherever. Basically similar to Asgard and in the Marvel universe.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so then clear this up for me, because I've always wondered: was he born with his ability to run fast? Because there's been a few of them, or is there some genetic experiment thing? I don't know.
It depends on which Flash you're talking about. Barry Allen.
Give me the quick rundown of Wally West and the other one.
Well, you have
Is it Barry Allen?
Barry Allen, in my opinion, Barry Allen is the Flash.
Okay.
There's no other Flash. I mean, even though he's the second Flash, but I think Jay Garrick, I'm not too sure.
Hello?
Oh shit, we
I think we lost John here. He might be losing his connection. Well, when he comes back, I'm sure he can tell us more about the Flash. But I guess I don't even know where we were going before we got into that. I apologize. Again, peeps, I don't know much about the Justice League, so I'm kind of enjoying just being informed. What do you got to say, 63?
Honestly, just keep it to around a good amount of characters for them to have an equal amount of time of screen time. Really, that's the biggest problem. Really, when you're having an ensemble team up like that, you gotta make sure that each of the actors and the characters have a good amount of time for the audience to get to know them and establish them throughout the movie. So, in my opinion, have it as, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5. Keep it within that much. Keep with that in that range, but don't add on too much, because then it's gonna be a hellhole and it's gonna be too much for the movie. It's not gonna have that much time. Plus, it's gonna be fucking 5-hour movie, and
right.
You're not gonna have. The audience is gonna really be interested to watch a 5-hour movie like that. So just keep it within that range, and then I think they'll be good, really.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I know I keep going back to Marvel, but
that's good.
I thought they were pretty successful in giving everybody a sufficient amount of screen time.
Yeah.
Of course, they all varied, but with the Justice League, it's gonna be tough. I mean, because of course, Batman and Superman have always been DC's flagship characters, right? They're the front runners. They're kind of the face of DC.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so I think it's gonna be hard for them to divvy up the time between characters like the Flash and Green Lantern and Wonder Woman, But I think they deserve it because I think they're also the characters that a lot of people want to hear about too. I think they're characters that people want to know. They're characters that people want to get to know better and know more about. And I'm including in that because I want to know more as well.
Hello.
Yay, John, you're back.
Hey, sorry about that. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what happened. It just cut out.
Yeah, it said you dropped the call, man. That's about all I got to say.
Yeah, sorry about that. So, did you guys continue on without me for a little bit?
Yeah, we were just talking about basically, getting enough screen time for each character and not letting Batman and Soups bogart the mic,
I think that's the key point really that they have to focus on. Plus, they honestly, I hope they don't make Superman overpowered within that movie and have the others just as a fill-in for the film. They gotta have him as equal and as entertaining as possible. Really, none of them should be overpowered than the other. Just keep it within
well, that's something I think that they need to do. I know I keep referencing the Avengers, and I hope any listeners aren't getting pissed about it. But one thing they were successful at was I feel like they got their powers down perfectly. I mean, in comparison with each other, that fight between Thor and Iron Man, that was awesome. I felt like they nailed the power levels, and something I think we need to see in the Justice League, and we need to see the difference in the powers and using all their specific gifts in a smart way, so they all contribute to the team.
Yeah, I definitely think that's true. And another thing that I'll, sorry that I was cut off, but you guys were talking about, who deserves the star power more and who really, takes the leadership role, or not really the leadership role, but mainly just, who the movie is going to be about, or who's going to be one of the central focuses.
Yeah.
And I think that Avengers did a really good job, that even though they really couldn't help it, that the Iron Man popularity was just, really too much. But I think at the end of the day, I think it's up to the movie makers to really push, okay, look, Captain America is the leader of the Avengers.
Yeah.
Even though he may not be the most popular, but I mean, even in the promotion that they were doing, Captain America was, most of the time he was in front or he was in the middle.
Right.
I think that with that, what they really need to do is they just need to push another hero other than Superman or Batman to be in the front, which is going to be hard to do. But I really just see Flash as being that next guy, because I can't remember what the storyline is, but I think it's Barry Allen or Wally West dies in one of the universes, and his death is one of the most impactful things to the Justice League,
right?
Because he is, for as far as the team goes, and this is just going by the animation show. He was just a clown, lighthearted guy, but when it came down to it, he would sacrifice himself, for the team or for the Earth or whatever. And I think when people start to get that, or if the movie emphasizes that, I think that you really build one of your best characters out of it.
I honestly, I'm calling one out of left field here. I think my least favorite character on the team would probably be the best suited to be the leader of the gang here and be Wonder Woman. I think Superman would honestly be happy to relinquish the leadership role to her. Pardon me. And I think it would be really cool to see Batman and Wonder Woman fight for it and Wonder Woman come out on top, because I feel like, I don't know, for some reason there's a leadership quality to Wonder Woman, and I think just her being a strong woman character would be a kind of an interesting dynamic to see amongst the group as the leader.
I agree. Yeah, I think she'd do a great job. I mean, and that's the thing. I think there's only so much that Superman can do. As far as being the leader. I think that at the end of the day, all of them are equally. And I'm talking about Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. All of them are just equally as powerful, like in their minds.
Right.
That that they kind of know what they have to do, and they're all going to do their own job. So if people are thinking that you're going to get a scene, in the Justice League movie where Superman is going to be similar to Captain America, like, hey, you go over here, I'm calling the shots, hey, you do this, I don't think we're going to see that from Superman. I really just think that everybody is going to kind of know what to do. Because I don't think Superman was even, emphasized as a strategist in his battles or anything like that. He's kind of been I'm just going to go out and go get him kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I like the idea of kind of a merry-go-round of the leadership role. I think the leader should depend on the situation and who's most qualified. So it'd be kind of cool to see a rotation of leaders within the movie.
True. I think, and that's kind of the cool thing that Avengers did, without even kind of doing it, is everybody kind of had their own time in the sun. Everybody had their own little, their moment, I guess, if you want to call it, because they, each one did something that was pretty epic,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you even saw Black Widow kind of telling Cap what to do when she just basically asked him for a boost, right?
Exactly.
So, even little subtle things like that, that they can be capitalized on. So, okay, there's two more things I definitely want to hit on this Justice League subject. One would be the villain. I think a discussion about who the villain should be, what would be cool, and why. Why would it make sense? And then maybe a couple casting choices who we think would be a good... I mean, we don't have to cast every single person, but if you've got someone in mind who would be perfect for the role, I definitely would think we should talk about it.
Yeah. Well, as far as villains go, back to what we were always saying, I don't think DC wants to do the straight copy, of Avengers.
Right.
So I really don't think that having the one villain so great, a villain so great and powerful that it has to bind all these people together, because, the DC universe and even DC, some of its superheroes, I think people get the confusion with outdated with being just too powerful. Where DC's heroes are actually very, very powerful.
Yeah,
people don't really realize it. They go by favoritism when they do that Marvel versus DC war, but I mean, come on, you've got, basically a god among men in Superman. You've got, Batman, who's the greatest detective and who has anything for any problem.
He's the Chuck Norris of DC.
Yeah, you've got Wonder Woman, who's just like this strong, beautiful, she's got everything. She's got the lasso of truth, and she's, she can fight like a man and everything like that. And then you've got, the Green Arrow, who's got, anything that he wants to manifest from his ring, he can do it.
Green Lantern.
So,
okay.
I'm Green Lantern. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're good. Someone's been watching too much Arrow.
Did I say Green Arrow?
Yeah.
Did I say Green Arrow?
Yeah, you did.
Oh man,
been watching too much
Green Arrow,
WB, man.
And then you got Flash, the fastest man alive. The guy can vibrate through walls.
Yeah, I would say he can. That's pretty
vibrate.
cool. That's talented.
Phase, I guess if you want to say it. Phase.
Yeah, it somehow controls his density, like the molecules in his body. He can vibrate to a frequency. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, but and I think, it's like, dude, there'd have to be, like, honestly, the baddest villain of all time to get these people together to do that. So I really think, back to what you were saying, they would have to hurry up and do the Legion of Doom, or do, like, each hero's biggest nemesis teaming up to take on the world against the Justice League. It'd have to be a team versus team kind of thing.
I could honestly see the Justice League Doom animated movie being translated to screen. I think that'd be killer.
Absolutely. I think that'd be awesome. And I think Vandal Savage, who was the villain in that Justice League Doom animated movie, that's a villain that no one even knows. Nobody knows who that guy is. Everybody is really, everybody throws the whole, we need Darkseid, or we need, Darkseid is he's easily comparable to Thanos. So, you can even tell the minute that people post a Darkseid, picture of Darkseid, people are going to be like, oh man, that's a Thanos ripoff, and start all that debate. And it's like, man, no, dude. First of all, anything in DC and Marvel is always going to be comparable. It's like McDonald's and Burger King.
There's no such thing as an original idea anymore when it comes to these superheroes.
Exactly. So just like, first of all, when people start doing that, then you just need to just not talk anymore, because you just sound dumb.
Yeah.
So
when I say the Justice League Doom being translated, I think one of the things that really sold me on that film was Batman and Bane, and hopefully we'd get Bane done right.
Hope to God.
But I thought that's some pretty sadistic shit to bury Bruce Wayne in his parents' grave, and bury him alive. So it just feels so much more personal, that, and then the way they attacked Green Lantern with Carol Ferris, if that's her name, and a couple of them weren't as personal, but with two of them, three of them, Superman and Brainiac, it was definitely a fight on a personal level. It required a lot of heart, and to know that Batman was at the bottom of all of it, it was definitely a cool twist. It's something you don't see every day, and
Yeah.
I think that needs to be incorporated in some way into the film. I mean, it's true. Batman always has a contingency plan for everything, even if it's his fellow Justice League members. So I thought that was spot on, and that's something I would love to see translated.
Yeah, I think that's a movie right there. Like, honestly, that would have been perfect to make because it would have given you a big question mark as to what Batman's motives are. Because, Batman is just about all keeping peace, but Batman is among the lines of, he's that hero that he will do whatever is necessary to maintain that peace.
Yeah.
He drives a fine line, and, there's sometimes where, I guess he won't kill, but at the same time, it's crazy to know that he has backup plans for the Justice League, and that's one of those things, like, when people, like, going back to it, when people just keep on saying, oh, the Justice League isn't relatable or anything like that, but it's like, imagine if you had a group of buddies, that you were all best friends with, or you all did a job, but meanwhile, one of your buddies is keeping tabs on all of you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like a little twister right there, an emotional twister. And, I think the way it was done was brilliant, and I think if you kind of changed up the lineup of the villains, Metallo is not my favorite.
Metallo, yeah, I'm sorry,
villain.
I said Brainiac, yeah.
But you're actually right, dude. I mean, if they put Brainiac in a Justice League movie, I mean, he seems like one of those challenges. Like, that's the thing, is they have to put everybody's main big nemesis on the pedestal in a team.
Yeah,
because,
personally, I'd rather still see Bane over Joker for Batman.
Exactly, yeah. If you put Bane, who's like a hired gun, and it's crazy. You can imagine what would Bane do if he knew Bruce or Batman's secret identity. He would do that. He would beat him at his most vulnerable thing, and I think that's what's important, is you have to get the hero vulnerable to make them overcome. You have to give them not only the physical challenge of being, having to fight this villain, but you have to give them that vulnerability because, people are vulnerable. That's how you can. I think that's the way that they could make them relatable.
Yeah, there's definitely a common denominator between us and these heroes, and I think you hit the nail on the head. It is that we all have the capacity to feel that vulnerability.
So, I think, even with Superman, he's not, like, even that scene in Doom, basically Metallo was, disguised as a staff of the Daily Planet, and he was gonna, trying to kill himself, and then Superman was like, hey, look, don't do this. You can see it's like, man, Superman, he saves buildings and he saves, planes that fall out of the sky, but at the same time, if he needs to go and talk to someone and be like, hey, dude, look, this isn't the right choice, this isn't, don't commit suicide, that is cool, because then you see Superman really come down to you see the humanity in Superman, and just, say, hey, look, there's no such thing as a bad life, there's just a bad day, and then all of a sudden for him to get shot, with a kryptonite bullet, of course, as much as, UniBeam hates kryptonite, that's the one thing that can only get him, but it's beautiful, him get shot, because he's trying to help someone out. It's just a cool dichotomy of that.
It was, and you know what, I gotta say, the closest I've ever come to becoming a Superman fan, which for some reason, I don't know why, this animated film wasn't received very well amongst a lot of people, All-Star Superman. That was one of the most humanizing moments I've ever seen for Superman, and it was honestly the first time I felt like, I could be a fan of this guy. A lot of him reminds me of Captain America. There are quite a few parallels between the two characters, and just who they are in the essence, and not with the powers. So that's something I'd also like to see translated in some shape or form. Not exactly the entire story, but just to know that he's basically his time's running out. And I think that that evokes a lot of humanity out of Superman, and it makes him much more relatable, because this is basically a character who cannot die, and yet now he's realizing he's going to die, which is something that we all know. I don't want to get too dark and brooding here, but we all know we're going to die one day, and we're not living forever. And Superman was probably one of those people who never really thought about it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they should have for the film. They should have something on a personal level, but at such a high threat, really, in my opinion, really. Just try and do something in between, really, for them, because, again, I don't want them to go to the, alien invasion route and think they can make money off of that. They should really, mix it up a bit, take some story adaptations from the DC comics and just throw in some things in there that you think that will work, you think that the fans will enjoy. Just try and make it as entertaining and as emotional as possible, and try and add a little something in there to make it that good of a movie for all the fans and for the characters as well, really.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. John, are you still there, man?
I'm here.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Didn't hear you. I thought maybe you dropped out again.
No. But I definitely I agree. I agree with all your points. I think one of the things that makes these movies successful is, and I think one thing that we've all like kind of just noticed is, you know, when you're watching these movies and you're watching these characters, it's all about relatability. And when you can relate to the character and you can picture yourself, you know, even in the character's shoes, that's the best part of movies. Like, I mean, I don't want to, you know, like I don't want to go back to Avengers, but I mean, that's the number one thing. You know, I was totally out of the blue thinking Tony Stark was going to up and catch that nuke and then take it up into that portal.
Yeah.
But when I thought about it, it's like, man, here is the guy who is like, he's pegged as the most selfish prick out of the team.
Yep.
Yet he's the one who chooses to you know, selflessly, you know, hey man, I'm willing to give up life because, you know, the world is at stake. It's like, man, if anybody else was brought with that scenario, I only hope that they would make a decision similar to that. You know, it's like, hey man, got to do what you got to do, but you know. So I mean, that's what's really cool is you related to him, you know, like, and you related to all the characters in Avengers, and that's what made it successful. So I think that's what they really have to do is they have to try and, you know, before they even think, because you're always going to have action. You're always going to have action, and I mean, special effects are always going to outdo.
It just has to be satisfying, you know.
Yeah, it has to be just enough satisfying action where you're like, wow, that's really cool, because, you know, even people now, we've seen the Iron Man, the Iron Man 3 poster where Tony Stark is falling. You know, so many other fans were like, "Oh man, we saw him fall in Avengers." It's like, dude,
he flies around as a fucking superhero. What do you expect? He's gonna get shot out of the air.
Exactly. Yeah,
you know?
It's gonna happen. You know, and I mean, as long as you see iconic, you know, things that they can do, I mean, you're always gonna get, you know, action. But when you get, you know, a story that. And that's what I'm saying, that's the hardest thing about the DC, you know, Justice League, and I think that's what probably DC is having the most trouble with, is just trying to make each one of these characters relatable to not the general audience, but to just everyone.
I don't think that they should have that much trouble, because now that we've been talking about the Avengers, and I'm sorry again, I'm going to keep apologizing, but, you know, I feel like that movie, now that we've talked about it, is almost just as much about, being a team and collaborative as it is fulfilling your own destiny. Because with what you brought up, John, is, you know, you're right. Tony Stark is the dick, the asshole, the prick, the billionaire playboy, you know, genius philanthropist that he calls himself. And he flips that on its side, and he's the one guy who's willing to risk everything to save an entire city, you know? And then you have the Hulk, which, you know, we saw Banner and Stark talking to each other. You know, you basically start saying, hey, your time's going to come when you'll have to make a choice, and I guarantee you make the right choice. And he does. He comes back at the end, and he controls the beast for the good of all people. Captain America, a man out of time, comes back to lead a team and a people who have no idea who they are, but he knows he's the man for the job. Thor, he's arrogant and he's brash, and he has to take out his brother, one of his most, you know, beloved people in his life. And so I think it's just as much about destiny as it is anything else. And if you can kind of transcend that theme into a Justice League movie, I think we'd get the same feeling from it, you know. And the more we talk about this, the more I'm pulling for a Justice League movie now, because I'm starting to realize the potential this movie can have.
Yeah, definitely. I'm right there with you, but at the same time, I'm just, you know, there's a lot of fans out there, and, you know, people just, they want to see this right now, and it's so bad, and it's like, man, you know what? Trust me, when you watch, because that's one of the same feelings that I felt after having to sit and, like, really watch the Avengers. I was like, man, I could have waited another 10 years for that kind of awesomeness, man, because that was just, like, that right there, you can tell what is timeless. And I already know that 10 years from now, whether they either reboot or whether they try and make a sequel or whatever, nothing is going to beat the original Avengers. Like, an Avengers movie isn't, I mean, I don't know. I know that I don't take sequels as, you know, hey, we're going to top this or anything like that. I really take sequels as just a continuation, you know?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I just know that the Avengers, like, whether they try and reboot it or whatever they try and do, it is honestly not going to be as amazing as it was, because they got it right. And I think that that's what DC is doing is, I mean, I don't know anybody at DC, and I'm just a fan, real vibrant fan about this. But anybody who's listening, it's like, look, just be patient, because I just promise, I know it, that whatever we're gonna get, whether it be in 2020 or 2018, it's gonna be worth the wait, and that's what really is gonna matter.
Yeah.
I agree. Because when you get something rushed, I mean, it's you get stuff like, and I don't want to point names, but I mean, you get stuff like the Fantastic Four, because that's what happened. I mean, when Spider-Man came out and Spider-Man was such a huge hit, basically what
all the
these other
studios
studio
looked at what they had.
Yeah, they were like, hey man, get me one of those. We'll take the Fantastic Four. And I mean, these things have to be meticulously planned to come out as successful as they should, because there's no real reason.
I mean, or else you get Ghost Rider,
Yeah, exactly. Like, they didn't take the time. The guys at Sony or whatever, they didn't take the time to really understand. It's like, man, let's get the story right, because the action is always going to be there. So we're in a day and age now where CGI and comic book movies are the norm, and I mean, any special effect can be done, seriously.
Yeah.
So it's like, dude, don't worry about that. Technology and CGI is only going to get better. Just worry about getting the story, and you'll be good as gold.
Yeah, everything hinges on the story,
Yeah, because if you don't have a good story, if you don't, not even a good story, but if you just don't have a relatable story, if your characters aren't relatable, you're shot from the get-go.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, 63. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was gonna say, I think, to me, because I want to try and, in the near future, I want to try and get myself into the filming industry, and to me, the key point is that you need a good, solid, entertaining story, and you need to have some good character development throughout the film. You got to establish the characters for the audience and the fans to know that we've taken the time to strategize and plan very carefully of everything, of every contingency. Really, we have to let the fans know that you care about the material, the source material, and the characters as well. It's just something that you gotta think carefully and strategically about. You can't just go off and think that you're gonna make fucking money and have some sloppy ass character development and a horrible story. And again, I'm not gonna point any names out, but you just gotta think these things through. You can't just think that these movies are just for money making. You gotta, and in my opinion, when I do become a director, and I hope to God I direct, a Marvel film, particularly Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, that's my dream. I'm not gonna let that fail. But in my opinion, for me, it's all gonna be about the fucking adventure that I'm gonna have if I get to direct Spider-Man. It's gonna be the fun factor that's gonna be put into that process of the film. Just doing the story, everything about it. It's not the money. That's the last thing on my list, really, when it comes to making films. But just the fact that, you just look at these characters and the source, and you think, okay, I have this. Now I'm gonna to take my time, no matter how long it takes, and just try and tweak it or make it to the point where the fans love it and the general audience, love it as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, 63. I think if Whedon proved anything to us, it's that you need the treatment of these characters needs to be handled with care, and making money should not be your first priority. I mean, I'm sure all the producers, that's their first priority, but if someone cares enough about the material, you'll get the film you want, and I think that's what's unfortunate for DC. I think that the Green Lantern movie had the potential to be really good, even as with Ryan Reynolds as Hal Jordan, which I bought into him as Hal Jordan towards the second half of the movie. The first half I saw nothing but Ryan Reynolds. But I think they tried to do something that the mainstream audience would be content with. I think they tried to do something that they felt everyone would enjoy, and instead everyone's going to enjoy who the character is and what he's based off of from the comic books. They're gonna enjoy who he started out as, not the movie version that you're trying to have appeal to the mass audience, because he already does appeal to the mass audiences, and that's what I think some of these studios are failing to realize. These guys, they appeal to everybody. It's just not everybody has been exposed to them yet.
I agree, and I think that's the biggest. And I'm just gonna point out, I think that's the biggest fact Fox, in my opinion, has really, because in my opinion, whenever Fox comes out with a CBM film, in particular a Marvel film, to me, I just think of Fox wanting just money out of it, because I don't see that good of a entertaining story, except X2. X-Men 2 was okay. That had a good, solid plot for it. But in my opinion, they just, I don't know, just studios in general, they have to realize that this is something very important to the fans, and they just have to make it as good as what they see in the comic books.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, I think our last topic, unless you guys have anything to say, is just maybe doing a little fan casting here. Who you guys want to see as what character? I personally, I don't have any preferences. I guess I'll start real quick by saying that Batman, I've seen some fan casts that cast this guy Armie Hammer, the guy from Social Network, and now he's about to be in the Lone Ranger. And I mean, I haven't seen a Batman type performance from him yet. Also, I haven't seen the Lone Ranger. I don't even think that's out yet. And we're gonna date this podcast by that. But the guy looks like he could be Bruce Wayne, and he looks like he's got what it takes to pull off the cowl. And that doesn't look like a bad cast to me. And there might be someone out there better. I just haven't come across it, but I think he's a good cast. Physically,
physically he does look cool. I gotta say the thing with Armie Hammer is he's been fan casted honestly in like almost every DC superhero.
Has
movie.
he really?
Well, yeah. I know he was fan casted as Superman, and he's been getting he used to get a big push as being Superman. Man, I think when it comes to these comic book movies, it really, really is important that and this is just my opinion. I'm not a big fan caster. I've only done like a couple of fan casts.
Yeah, I've never done one.
At it. I've never done them, but I gotta say, like when it comes to like a fan cast, I would really just go and shoot for not a nobody, but just an unknown. And I think if you had the superheroes and the title of the superheroes and the costumes and everything, that's all going to sell themselves. But I think some of the best performances that we've gotten from superhero movies have honestly been when an unknown is cast, and like if the unknown embodies that role.
Right. Yeah. So that's why Christian Bale never worked for me.
Yeah. I think that one of the things that really like blew about when people do fan casts is when they get someone that is so popular that when you watch the movie, you're going to be like, man, this is so-and-so playing this person. Yeah. This really isn't, I'm going to go back to the formula that worked with the first Superman Donner movie, because I'm a Superman fan. I don't know if anybody else, if they said anything, but I'm a fan of both, but, Superman is by far my favorite, and, the Superman movies, that's the thing that got me into comic books, because I remember just seeing, I knew who Superman was, but when I saw it in real life, and I saw a live-action Superman, and just, this guy he really, really looked like he had stepped out of the pages, and then what made it better is he acted like he stepped out of the pages.
Yeah.
And I think that's when we get the best, the most recent example is, of course, Chris Hemsworth as Thor. This guy was a television actor. He was doing Australia's Dance with the Stars.
And soap operas, I think,
the next thing he knows is, he grows his hair out, and he bulks up and gets a couple of pounds, and, he looks like Thor, and from now on, he will forever be associated with that in my mind. Like, the guy could do everything else, but as long as he comes back to Thor, that's the thing. And of course, more recent than that is Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman, when they saw when they started saying back in 2000, like, who was going to play Wolverine, Hugh Jackman was, I think he was doing musicals, dude.
Yeah, he's a Broadway actor.
Yeah, he was a Broadway, like, he was a musical. And, people are just like, man, how the hell is, this musical guy going to, pull out the most badass character in the Marvel Universe, or one of the most badass. And, dude, he stole the show. Like, he didn't steal the show, but, he became Wolverine.
Dude, he's one of the most talented actors we have. And people can bitch all about his Wolverine incarnation, but the guy is one of the best actors I've ever seen.
Well, not even
to the character, I'll say that.
Yeah, dude. That's the thing. That's what impresses me is, like, dude, Wolverine or the X-Men movie was made in 2000. It's 2013.
And he's still playing it, man.
He's still playing it, and not even that, he loves playing it.
He does.
So when you get an actor like that, and that's what's really most important here in the future about Henry Cavill to me is because Henry Cavill's got the look. I mean, I haven't quite seen a lot of his acting chops, but so far he's a decent actor. But decent actor, like I said, everybody was a nobody once.
Right.
If you have
that's a good way of saying it.
If you have that specific role that's really going to, get you associated with the mainstream, and that's why I'm hoping for, Henry Cavill to really steal the show. And I mean, everything that I've heard from Man of Steel is just, everybody's really, really exuberant for the fans to see it. He's like, man, I can't wait for the fans to see it. I had such a blast. I know, and this is another reason why this podcast is dated. Is earlier this week I caught Amy Adams. She was on the Jay Leno show, and she was all she was just saying. She goes, I can't wait for you guys to see it because this is really going to be awesome. It's like when you get actors like that are going to totally embody the role. I think that's what we're going to get. So really, man, I honestly don't have major fan casts for this movie. I just hope whoever they pick that they are unknowns so that we can identify them as
those characters, hero. Yeah, I don't want to see Tom Cruise anywhere near a Marvel movie.
No.
You know what I mean?
Well, let me ask you just, because I know UniBeam is an Iron Man fanboy, so you know the rumor back in 1993.
Oh, shit.
Tom Cruise was originally set to play Iron Man.
Yes. Part of the reason why I just said what I said.
Yeah.
Oh, God, dude. I do not want to see risky business in an Iron Man suit.
No.
But I don't know. I think Flash is one of the characters that has the widest range of people who can play him.
I agree. I'm hoping that Michael Rosenbaum can play as the Flash because honestly,
Isn't he the voice actor for him?
What was it? You asked about Michael Rosenbaum?
Yeah, I thought didn't he voice Flash?
He's voice Flash in the Justice League America film, the anime series, and then the Justice League Unlimited, and then Justice League Doom.
Nice. Yeah, he was good. He was good in Doom.
Yeah, he was fucking cool, and just seeing him real life, he pretty much looks like the Flash in my opinion. Even despite his age, because the guy, and I can't believe this honestly, the guy is 40 years old. I don't know. Yeah, he looks pretty fucking young to be 40. But
go ahead, Ben.
I just hope that they at least gave him an offer for the role of Flash, because that's the only Flash I can think of really.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to Flash, I was more set on, and this is back in 2004 where there were rumors of a Flash movie,
right.
And Ryan Reynolds was the main one. And I mean, seeing from the comical side, I really thought that Ryan Reynolds would have made a good Flash. Now that he's Ryan Reynolds, like the mega star, I don't know if that would really work. But I'm really crappy on fan cast, man. I mean, I really wouldn't know, but I gotta say, whoever they choose, I hope that they do good with the look, and that's more important. I think that's another thing that's really going to get the fans more amped up is if you have an actor who dedicates himself so much to the role and who just doesn't take it as a movie or something like that, and they really become this person. Because that was one of the most important things with Christopher Reeve is, he played Superman in the 70s, but yet after his accident and everything like that, he was always associated with Superman.
Yes.
He was always, anytime someone asked him, he was always, doing Superman conventions, and he was always doing that. And I think that that's something, the same thing with Hugh Jackman, man, is, he's always going to come to Wolverine. So hopefully the same thing will happen with Chris Hemsworth. I don't know, how far he's a major star now. I don't know how far his career will go, but I know as long as he has, Thor, I'm always going to be a fan of his acting.
Yeah, definitely. So, I liked him in Cabin in the Woods.
I haven't seen that one. I mean, the only thing I've seen him in was the Snow White movie.
Oh, that was atrocious, man.
But even then,
he was good.
He still has similar, he's getting things from Thor.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I just hope that whoever they choose for the cast, that it's just a strong cast of just good actors. They don't necessarily be, mega stars, because I think that the titles of the superheroes, Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Green Lantern, all in the same movie, that's going to be enough push for you. And the fact that this movie has been in developmental hell, that's going to be another push, because people are going to be like, finally this movie is getting made. Finally we're going to see, Superman and Batman on the same screen. So,
right, yeah. I actually wouldn't mind to see them kind of go at it just for even a small bit. I think it'd just be kind of a fun little nod to the fans as well.
little Dark Knight Returns action.
Yeah, dude, that was so awesome. I loved seeing the Dark Knight Returns Part 2 and just seeing Batman lay his ass out with one punch.
Oh, yeah.
I think that they'll have a trouble with casting Batman if they go with the Justice League film, really.
I think Superman is still probably the hardest casting to get right because the guy is so nearly damn perfect that how do you find an actor to live up to that? I mean, my hat's off to Cavill for doing this, man.
Well, that's just a cool thing how things work out because, he was a big runner-up in the 2006 movie. Like,
I didn't know that.
Like, he kept on getting, and not even that, but he was also casted as a potential Batman. I know he screen tested for Batman Begins. So, Henry Cavill, they did an article on him, I think, before he got the role of Superman, but they were like, man, this is the unluckiest guy in Hollywood because he's always, barely making it. He's always going second place and he never gets the role. And, now he's finally got his role. And, like I said, man, from all the photos and everything, dude, he looks like he is just going to be amazing.
Yeah, I wasn't too thrilled with him in The Immortals, so I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think with the way he bulked up, he physically dedicated himself to the role, and we have yet to see anything major. But from photos, he looks like Superman, but then again, he doesn't look like Christopher Reeve, that's everybody's problem because everyone gravitates to Christopher Reeve,
right.
And I think that's what messed up Superman Returns is they were like, well, we just need a carbon copy of Christopher Reeve. It's like, no, you don't. You need to make a Superman.
Right.
So,
right.
I think that's why this movie is gonna just I'm just saying, Man of Steel, I hope it's really good.
All right. 63, you got anything to say, bud?
Well, just one last thing. I think they should keep the age range between, somewhere around, late 20s, early 30s, really, in my opinion.
Yeah.
For the casting. Because, if they do make a successful GLA film, and I hope they do, then you'll know that they're going to have multiple deals for other solo films from DC. So have someone that's right around the right age for them to do all these multiple films that they're going to be offered if GLA is successful in the box office. So just somewhere around that range would do well.
Yeah. Okay. Definitely, man. I agree. I think we need actors who have some potential to stay around for a few years to reprise roles if need be.
Because look at fucking Robert Downey Jr. The guy started out. I forgot how old he was.
I think he was 40 by the time he was cast.
Yeah,
at least 40.
Look at him now. Even in still good.
Yeah, even in movies though. When you're 40, you look 30. Back in Smallville, Tom Welling was 30 something. He was playing a 19-year-old. So it's
Andrew Garfield's 28 playing a 17-year-old. So
yeah, so you're always gonna have that, But just as long as you make these movies and definitely do them as they've got the whole plan out, which is, that's on another subject, which hopefully we'll bring a topic about it. Whether comic book movies should be filmed together, like a series, like what they're doing with Lord of the Rings. That would be something that I would definitely be intrigued in because, like the Harry Potter movies where they film them simultaneously.
Yeah.
And that would be something because, that's what these movies deserve to be, dude. They deserve to be huge events like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think the one last comment I want to make on this little fan casting thing is, for Batman, do a voiceover and god damn it, get Kevin Conroy. Get Kevin Conroy to voice over it. Like they did the Silver Surfer in Fantastic Four too. You got Lawrence Fishburne and Doug Jones. It can be done.
Yeah, that's true, man.
We don't need any more. Where is he? So
yeah, that's one of the pop culture things that I think everybody's gonna remember Christian Bale for. More than anything, they're gonna just say, "Man, that was the one. He had he was a good actor, but damn, he had a terrible Batman voice.
Yeah.
What?
So I don't know. I guess that's about all I have to say. Unless you guys have any closing thoughts, we'll give some shout outs if not.
I hope everyone. I mean, if you definitely have any input on this specific one, I'd like to hear feedback on your thoughts or your inputs on the comment thing.
Definitely.
Or, I guarantee that there's probably gonna be a lot of people in the comic book movie chat room or on the threads that are gonna maybe listen to this. And if you do, definitely chime in and just give us your opinion, on the comment list or. If you see us in chat, ask us about it because we'd love to keep on talking. I mean, like that's one of the things.
Yep.
As much as these podcasts have to end, I'd love to keep on talking about it with you.
Right, and the thing that's gonna fuel these podcasts is getting feedback and people giving us ideas and about what they want to hear because we only have so many ideas, so we definitely want to hear from the masses.
For sure.
Yeah, just let them do requests like how Nerdy did. I'm all cool with that. I'll chat my fucking ass off as long as I can, really.
Yeah.
It's all good with me.
So, anyone listening, you guys can thank NerdyGeek for this. If you liked it, thank him. If you hated it, kick his ass, not ours.
Slap him.
That Irish bastard. All right. All right. Well, you guys want to give some shout-outs before we head out of here?
Just anybody who on the CBM. I think there's Chuck, Human Spider, Saint, you guys, glad you listened. We'd love to get you on here as well and, do one big one. And I'm still, this is just a side thing, is I'm still waiting on people to confirm for the 2015 Avengers thing, man.
I'm in.
That is a for real thing, man. So if anybody is wondering, is that bullshit or anything like that, first of all, no, I'm not a serial killer. I'm just I'm a 20-something-year-old fan, just like you. And I mean, I've spoken with a punch y'all for a long time, so I know Uni's in, and I'm in. So if anybody else is, I'm not sure on anybody else, but that'd be cool to kind of do this and then take it to the next level because I know that we've been doing podcasts in the chat room with typing. We've elevated it to doing podcasts, audio, and man, I'd love to see everybody in 2015 and have a few beers and talk about it.
Dude, I'll bring my camera. We'll set up a round table and we'll have a live podcast. We'll film the whole fucking thing.
No, I'm down for that, man. I'm fucking down for that.
Stogies, hell yeah, dude.
So yeah, but anybody else who I didn't call out, man, just
much love.
Yeah.
What about you, 63? You got anything to say?
No, I'm down for all of that. What you guys just said, if anyone comes up to me and chat asking questions, don't hesitate, because I'm all for that. I'm not one of those fucking douchebags that brush them off. I love chatting with all of my peeps on chat. Just great people, really. All of them are great people, and I thank them for listening to all the podcasts that we've been doing. Honestly, I didn't think we'd get that much, feedback from them. So again, much respect and much, just much kudos to them, really, and shout outs to all my peeps in the chat. To name a few, go. Durf, Spawn, that old fucker, Gusto, Saints, fucking so much. I swear to God, I have to write it down next time. But all of them, thanks for your feedback and for listening to us. It really means that much to me, and for all of us as well.
Yeah, definitely. I want to give a shout out to Worldbreaker, Cayman, Ryder, let me think, Durf, Ghostfire, Steve Rogers' son, you piece of shit.
Dude, Steve Rogers, if you're listening, go watch Man of Steel, dude. Do not rid yourself of an opportunity. Please go watch it. If he was doing it as a personal favor for me, dude, go watch the movie.
Yeah, do it for John.
Yeah, do it for Johnny, man. Do it for Johnny.
Shout outs to Muggy as well. I'm just kidding, but most of all, shout outs to NerdyGeek. Thanks for the idea. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope this was to your liking. And I'm just gonna say right now, I'm gonna try and for my little sign off, I want to have a little quote from a movie, a comic book movie every time. And last time it was the shawarma thing from the Avengers. But from now on, I think I want to start saying something and see if people can guess what movie it's from. It'll be a comic book movie, and this time it's I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye.
Later.
This is UniBeam. I'm out.
Later.
Later.